Hello everyone to Connecting Markets Digital 2021. My name is Daniel Simmonds and I'm an area sales manager here at PROBAT. That's my colleague Ilvana.
Hello everybody, and also from my side a warm welcome to our session Roast Insights on the PX120 from our PROBAT Technology Center. My name is Ilvana Weiler and I'm a trainer in our PROBAT Training Center.
Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, PROBAT initiated Connecting Markets Digital in order to have an exchange with our customers. On the following 3 days we will have 3 different sessions, each dealing with trend-setting future topics, which will be innovations on environmental, roasting and control technologies. If you would like to have more information on these topics, please visit our microsite connectingmarkets.de. On this microsite you have the opportunity to send questions for the Q&A, or you can book one-to-one online appointments with our experts.
Today Daniel will start with an introduction of our all-new PX120 and I will follow with the roast demonstration of our house coffee. I will show you the most important tools for product development and production control on our new Roaster Control Pilot 2020. In the end we will have the Q&A session, so please leave your comments in the live stream. So for now I will hand over to you, Daniel, and see you in a minute.
Thank you, Ilvana.
Bye-bye.
So today we will start with roast insights on the PX120, the all-new roaster generation and successor of the very successful Neptune 500. So let's have a look on the PX120. The PX120 is able to handle batch sizes from 60 to 120 kilograms and roasting times from 6 to 20 minutes. This fascinating machine is optimized and redesigned in many ways. We put this roaster into a beautiful exterior, which makes it a beautiful showcase in your roasting factory or even big specialty shop. 80% of the components have been modified using latest computer simulation software. We have the brand new, easy-to-learn Pilot 2020 control system, which will be implemented on all new PROBAT roasters. We have the optimized filling hopper, and we have frequency converters on all main drives. This means for roasting air, cooling air, and the destoner. So let's have a look on the backside on the other features of this machine. So I will show you some more features on the PX120. We have these highly efficient roasting cyclones with a better separation efficiency and smaller size. We have this partial recirculation system which saves up to 30% of energy. Hatches on optimized position to reduce cleaning times. Most important, optimized drum geometry in length and diameter to cope with different batch sizes. The PX120 will come in with a very low footprint, and when delivered it will be pre-assembled. So you have learned some more on the technical details now, but Ilvana will show you now some insights on the roasting.
Yes, and I am ready. So I will take the burner now out of the standby position, and as soon as we reach the charging temperature we can start roasting. Okay, I will take the burner out of standby now. You can hear that the burner is now heating up to reach the charging temperature, which will be 220 degrees Celsius. So we have, of course, to wait a few seconds until we reach this temperature. Just a few seconds to go. Okay, 10 degrees to go. And now. Okay. So as you can hear, the coffee just dropped into the roaster. Our house coffee is a single origin Peruvian coffee. And we use it because it has a nice chocolatey taste and quite a low acidity. And we use it as a filter coffee in our offices because this is the preferred preparation style from our colleagues. As long as we are in the drying phase of the roasting process, let's have a deeper look into the roast recipe. So we are right now in the screen recipe management, and I have already pre-selected the recipe 666, which is our PROBAT house coffee. Let's have a look into the recipe parameters. So you can see on the right hand side 4 different sliders for selecting the screen of the recipe management. We have a slider which is called General. This is the page where you can adjust the green coffee weight, where you can adjust certain drive speeds of certain motors or fans, like for example the drum speed. And you can adjust certain flap positions which are necessary for the roasting process. What you can also adjust here is the quenching water quantity. So the quenching water is the water which will be injected in the final stage of the roasting process. So when you reach your final temperature, water will be sprayed on the coffee and will immediately stop the exothermic reaction of the coffee. Let's have a look into the reduction steps of the recipe. So first of all, what you can see now here in this screen, from left hand side to right hand side, is the roast recipe with its reduction steps. We have here in this column the adjustments for charging. So we charge now at 220 degrees product temperature. Then you have the 4 reduction steps which we have defined for house coffee. You are able to adjust here up to 19 different reduction steps. For this purpose you just need to tip here and add the amount of reduction steps you want to use for the roasting process. And in the last column you can see the adjustment for the roasting end step. So we end at 200 degrees for the first batch. So you're able to define for the first 3 or for the first 5 batches of the day 5 different charging temperatures and 5 different roast end temperatures. We have defined for this recipe now 3 different batches. And then you can see on the left hand side the parameters you can adjust in the recipe. You have on the one hand, of course, the product temperature, which is your reference point for your reduction steps. You have the roast supply air temperature, which gives the energy from the burner in your roasting process. And you have the supply air quantity. Supply air quantity means, in this case, the recirculation, the amount of air which is recirculated in the roasting process. You can also adjust the exhaust air fan, so the fan which creates the air for the roasting process. And you're also able to add some fresh air to the burner. So when you reduce the recirculating air in the roasting, you additionally have to increase the fresh air supply to have enough air for the roasting process. And with the fresh air you can clean the cup profile of your coffee because you reduce the smoky notes in the cup. When you've already roasted this recipe, your roasting curve will be saved in a batch protocol, and you will always have the possibility to transfer this curve into your recipe. And there is a function in this roaster control called reflex automatic, with which you can exactly follow exactly the same product temperature curve. The roaster automatically adjusts the burner capacity and also the air amount. It needs to reach exactly this curve. And what you can also do, you can define certain quality control parameters, so like certain product curve control points. So for example, I know at 150 degrees Celsius I've reached the color yellow, and I want this point to be reached in a time between 390 seconds and 450 seconds. That's my specification for a reproducible control point. If the deviation is bigger or lower as this time, the curve will be displayed in a different color, like here in yellow or red. And we also have the possibility to define product curve deviations in temperatures. So, for example, I can tell the controls up to 150 degrees Celsius. I want the allowable deviation of the curve to be maximum of 10 degrees. And from 150 degrees onwards, the deviation should be smaller. So also here a control parameter for quality control. Okay, so this is my recipe. At the moment you can see we've just reached the point 150 degrees, and this is now my quality control point, and you see the point is displayed as a green dot, which means we have met exactly this quality control point. But the deviation of the curve is a little bit different than the given curve, and that's why the curve color is in this stage right now yellow. So I just talked about the reflex automatics function. To be able to roast according to reflex automatic function, I need to switch into the reflex screen. And the reflex automatic function must be activated inside the recipe. And this can be done in the recipe also by clicking on this slider for reflex roasting on. When this is on, every time you load this recipe and roast according to this recipe, the roaster will exactly follow this roasting curve. Okay, we're almost at the point of the first crack. Let's have a short look for the coffee. A few more seconds to go. As soon as we reach the first crack, I'm able to mark this point by tipping on this button. So let's just listen for the first crack. And maybe you can also hear it now in the background. You can hear that the burner is slowing down because the noise is getting lower. So we know we are running our reduction step. And we can also see it in the reflex curve. You see the greenish blue line up here, that we are just running through the different reduction steps in the process. So it's still not there, but I guess it was at 178 degrees when we will expect the first crack. Oh yes, I can hear it already. So now I just tip here, and you can see in the curve that I've marked the first crack. Later on in your batch analysis, you can then analyze the development time from first crack to the roast end. Daniel, you are joining us again.
Hi Ilvana.
Hi.
Thank you for the insight so far. One question from my side.
Yes.
Is it possible to transfer roasting parameters to a new recipe?
It's possible to copy recipes completely. So you can go into the recipe management and select a recipe, an already existing recipe, and copy it. Or what you can of course also do, select a batch protocol and a roasted curve with a similar coffee, transfer it into a new recipe, and roast according to this product temperature curve. Okay.
Okay, so very easy to handle.
Yes, I think it's very intuitive to use these controls. It's very easy to learn.
Okay, thanks. And actually, what color are we roasting, and what about the roasting time?
So hopefully we will reach a roasting time of 811 seconds, as this is the reference curve we have given here. And we will have a roast color of color 100 on color red.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
our roast end temperature is at 200 degrees Celsius. You see we are already at 190, so a few seconds to go. And what will happen then is the quenching process. You can see here the amount of water which will be quenched onto the coffee. So this means we use 6 liters of water on 120 kilo of coffee. And what happens at this point, it's sprayed in very fine droplets onto the coffee and evaporates directly, but takes out the energy out of the coffee. So it stops immediately the exothermic reaction inside the coffee. And with this we get a very good reproducibility of the color and also of the roast result we want to reach. Okay, a few seconds to go. I will control the color. Already very nice.
So, 2 degrees to go.
Right. And as you know, this is a fully automatic machine, so this means when the quenching process is finished, we have a drying time of around 5 seconds after water quenching. And then the door will open and release the coffee onto the cooling sieve. So you see, we've reached this temperature and the water quenching is just on. The first 10 seconds, the water flow is 0.5 liters per second. And then it goes much faster. Here it goes. Okay, so I think it's a beautiful color because the cooling takes now around 6 minutes. We will have a look into our product development video called My Machine.
Wenn wir eine neue Serie machen, gerade bei der PX 120 war es auch wichtig, dann werden wir quasi das Beste, was wir haben, noch verbessern. Ja, die Herausforderung war im Prinzip, dass die PX 120 oder die PX-Serie eine ganz eigene Serie darstellen soll, quasi als Fusion aus Industriemaschine und Ladenröster.
Maschinenbau konnten wir ja eigentlich schon immer, aber jetzt in den letzten paar Jahren zeigen wir auch, dass wir im Softwarebereich richtig gut aufgestellt sind. Die Aufgabe am Anfang des Projektes war es, eine neue Röstersteuerungssoftware zu entwickeln, sämtliche Konzepte einmal neu zu überdenken und neue Ideen und neue Techniken in der Röstersteuerung mit einzubringen.
Das Interessante an einem neuen Projekt sind wirklich die neuen Bauteile, die vorher noch nie gefertigt worden sind, die ständig neuen Materialien, mit denen wir arbeiten, Zeichnungen, Vorgaben von der Technik.
Wir sind mit einem weißen Blatt Papier gestartet. Der komplette Röster ist neu ausgelegt. Die Größen der Rösttrommel, die Dimensionierung des ganzen Systems ist neu gewählt und ist neu durchgerechnet worden.
Natürlich weiß man, ist ja alles theoretisch durchdacht und alles ist geplant und die Arbeit ist aufgeteilt in absoluten Spezialbereichen, wo wirklich Spezialisten arbeiten und die Frage ist dann immer, hat alles gut zusammen funktioniert? Und das ist immer dann ein ganz besonderer Moment, wo man sagt, okay, Maschine einschalten und ja, läuft sie wirklich gut. Kommt sich schon teilweise vor wie ein Testpilot.
Wo es früher noch eher funktional war, Hauptsache man hat ein paar Knöpfe gedrückt und es hat funktioniert, ist heute der Anspruch an Usability extrem hoch. Oh, uns ist das schon ganz gut gelungen. Wir setzen nicht mehr auf die SCADA-Systeme der Hersteller, sondern haben eine komplett neue Oberfläche in HTML5 entwickelt, was so ziemlich einzigartig momentan auf dem Markt ist.
Das Interessante ist dann die Zusammensetzung der einzelnen Bauteile zum fertigen Produkt. Wir gehen auf jeden Kundenwunsch ein und dadurch ist jede Maschine ein Unikat.
Ja, es ist definitiv ein spannender Moment. Der erste Kaffee aus dem neuen Röster. Wie homogen ist das Produkt? Es ist wirklich gleichmäßig geröstet und wie ist die Aromaentfaltung? Sicherlich ein spannender Moment und lief hier auch total super.
Ja, die große Herausforderung war ja, schönes Design, tolles Design mit herausragender Funktionalität zu verbinden. Und das ist uns jetzt in dem Fall ja, super gelungen.
Ist sogar mit der neuen PX 120 ein Designstück gelungen, was sich Kunden auch gerne in den Showroom stellen.
Also wenn ich hier aus der Steuerwarte da unten runter schaue, finde ich, ist doch echt schon geil geworden.
So we finished already. With the frequency converter on the cooling fan, you can adjust the speed of the suction and with this separate the beans depending on the roasted coffee color and the weight, and with this improve your separation of stones. This is it for today from our side on the roasting insights. Now the Q&A session will follow. We received already a few questions prior to the event, and I hope also in the live chat we received some questions. Daniel, do you want to add something?
Yeah, before we will start with our Q&A session, let us take a look at a customer's project which was realized in Turin with our long-term partner Lavazza. Lavazza has built a unique roastery with our first PX 120. Afterwards we will directly dive into our Q&A session and looking for a lively exchange with you. So enjoy the video and see you in 2 minutes.
Yes, see you then.
technology and commitment to sustainability in the pursuit of excellence were the key factor in our choice of PROBAT and their PX120 as partners in the important and innovative project. Top quality level of product and cutting-edge ideas are the driver of both 1895 and PROBAT that realize also to the PX120.
Okay, welcome back. Welcome to our Q&A session. We already received quite a lot of questions. I will just start with the first one. Let me see. Yes, Daniel. I think this first one is for you. Why is the color of the machine black? Good question.
Yeah. We choose black to have a very classic industrial design, but of course it's possible to have the machine in every color you would like. So we have another question, Ilvana. We received an email. Someone asked, is interested to learn the operation of the PX120 roaster. So what are our options?
Yes, of course, there are a lot of options in our training center to have a training on the operation of all of our roasters, of course, also the PX120. So I will get back to you and we can talk about a training course, for example. Yeah.
Thank you. We received the question via Facebook. What was the actual batch size when we roasted the house coffee?
Yes, so the batch size for this coffee was 120 kilo. And I've also seen that somebody asked, what are we roasting? So this is our house coffee, which we drink in PROBAT, in the PROBAT offices. And this is a Peruvian single origin coffee, Arabica, of course. Yeah. Okay, let me see what else. Yes, another question by email. What components are optional for this roaster and what will be delivered as a standard?
So what we have as options will be thermal cleaning, water buffer unit, battery buffer unit, bin or chaff transport system for the cyclones, as well as pilot tiller support and external air cooling, as well as the destoner flap as regulating flap and a cyclone monitoring system.
Yes, I see another question on Facebook. Is the cooling system by water including in all models? Yes, of course. So the quenching water for our industrial roasters is implemented in all of the roasters. It is possible to set the water value on 0 so that you don't use water quenching at all if you don't want to use it. But you can also use it in the amount you need it. You see the next on YouTube. I found one. Good evening. Can it be controlled manually without much not interference of any software? I think what you mean is it possible to run it completely manually? If I understand this question correctly. Of course, you have an online recipe with which you can adjust during the roasting at every time. So it is possible to manually set parameters during the roasting. What you can't do is to charge or discharge, for example, manually. Discharge you can do also by pressing a discharging button, and then the flap will open automatically, but there's no fully manual roasting like on the PROBAT or P5 series, for example.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So there's another question regarding the exhaust gas treatment systems which are available for this machine, for this roaster. So we have the afterburner system as well as a catalyzer system, also available as low NOx execution, and the very effective Proforte system. These topics also will be addressed on the Connecting Markets event on Wednesday. So you can stay tuned and have a look on Wednesday. So Ilvana, what's the difference between the reflex automatic function compared to the one on the Neptune 500?
In fact, from the functions side, there's no difference, so they work both the same. In the PX120, the reflex automatic is standard in the software, whereas it is optional for the Neptune 500. And for the Neptune 500, you will also need some additional adjustment of the roasting components. For example, you need some flaps to be changed into a regulating flap instead of an only open or closed flap. So there's a little bit more effort on changing settings on the machine if you want to use the reflex automatic function. Yes, just a second. Maybe we find another question for you. The platform at the back of the machine, is it a standard setting? This is also a question for you, I think.
Yeah, thank you. The platform at the back side of the machine is standard, but always possible at PROBAT, you can have it customized. But the platform in general is standard.
Okay.
I've seen another question at Facebook. What's the actual difference between Neptune 500 and PX120?
There are several differences. In general, the PX100, PX120 is a successor of the Neptune 500. But is a partial recirculating system, for example. We have a completely new controls system software for roasting, frequency converters on all drives. These are the small differences which we have between these two roasters. And of course, the PX120 is also a machine which is developed also to be a standalone machine in your shop, for example.
Yeah, and I think very important is the partial recirculation system, which saves up to 30% of energy. So I think that's a very important point on this machine. So there's another question, Ilvana. Is the ROR also rate of rise also displayed in the graphs?
It is displayed in the history graph. It is displayed also in the batch protocols. So you can observe the rate of rise also during roasting throughout the roast. On the main screen, you can see that displayed as a number. When you change into the screen where your data logger, your history curve is, there you can see the full development of the rate of rise. Yes.
I think there's another question on Facebook regarding the thickness of the drum, the wall thickness, but I think we have to come back on this for a precise figure.
I don't know a number, so we will answer this question, but at the moment we can't, sorry. Yeah, ciao Ilvana, there are systems for detecting crack noise. Have you thought about installing them? Yes, of course, we all the time observe new systems of controlling the roast and of course try out different systems. At the moment we haven't implemented it yet, as you have seen also in the demonstration, but we are working on it.
Okay. Well, we received also a question via email. Does the coffee taste better on the PX120 than on other roasters? Yeah.
It's hard to say, no. Usually our roasters are all optimized to a certain air to bean ratio, so that we have an optimal roasting inside the drum, and of course we try through this calculations to reach always the same roast result. Yeah, that's the target for all of our roasters. So hopefully, and I can tell also from my experience now with the roasts I've done on the PX120, the coffees are really similar on these systems. What can you guys tell us about the burner was another question.
Probably the main burner for the
roasting. Yeah.
For the roasting, probably.
Yes, the main burner is a Weishaupt burner, and it's a modulating burner. It's modulating means we set a supply air temperature and the burner adjusts accordingly to meet this supply air temperature. So you don't give a percentage setting like you do it, for example, on older shop roaster systems or older generations of the industrial roasters. You define a supply air temperature and the burner regulates automatically.
Yeah, there's another question on Facebook regarding the remote control, or if this roaster has a secondary control screen in the control room. I think we can forward this question to our colleagues, which will have the show tomorrow for the control and control system topics, which will be addressed tomorrow, so we will forward this question to them.
Yes, and also I can add maybe one thing on that, because of course you have the control system on the touch screen, but you can also install it, or you will also have another computer system which you can install in your control room and control the roaster then over the control room only. So it depends on how you want to use it.
So there's another question, I think, also for you, Ilvana.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible to adjust the flame level of the burner?
You adjust a supply air temperature, so the energy amount or the temperature of the air which is coming into the drum. This is what you adjust. The burner flame is then regulated automatically by the system itself. So no, you can't directly change the flame amount, but you can adjust the supply air temperature.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. What is the thermal cleaning? What is the thermal cleaning?
Well, thermal cleaning is an interval you can choose. That's an option where you can set the roaster to a certain temperature in certain amounts of times, like 400 degrees Celsius, and you can optional get impurities, etc., which are sticking to the piping, to the roaster, will be dissolved and burned, and therefore you are able to clean the machine with an automated thermal cleaning interval. So it's an automatic system which makes it very easy to maintain the machine.
Another question, does PX120 suitable for fast roasting profiles? So is it suitable for roasting fast roasting profiles? Now again is the question, what is a fast roasting profile? On a drum roaster, fast roasting profiles are between, I would say, 6 and 10 minutes, and this is definitely possible with this roaster. For example, if you roast a 60 kilo batch on it, there's no problem to even get a 6 minutes roast. How homogeneous this will be when you have a very, very fast roasting time, this is the other question, but of course it is possible to roast very fast on it.
Okay. Another interesting question, does water quenching have an impact on the cup quality?
This is a good point of discussion you can find throughout the coffee industry, I think. In my personal opinion, I'm convinced that water quenching improves cup quality up to a certain degree. Of course, when you add more water than necessary just to stop the exothermic reaction in the coffee, this can also have a negative impact on cup quality. But up to a certain point, it's definitely very helpful for cup quality. And additionally, also you improve your reproducibility of a roast profile, of a roast color, and also the cup profile in general.
Okay.
Daniel, which parts are available in stainless steel?
Well, actually, the piping in general in the roasting part itself, the cooling sieve, as well as the these are probably the main parts. Yes.
Yeah, I see another question. Is there an online system to easily detect and resolve problems and alarms, maybe supported by texts and photos? Yes, that's a very good question, because tomorrow we have a session number 2 on controls and software, and our colleagues from software department and also from FabScale will introduce to you a system how to easily solve problems and alarms and tag problems and alarms on your systems, and create supports very easily over a known system. So would be quite helpful then if you watch tomorrow's session and ask also the colleagues for details.
Okay, there's another question coming in. What about the cooling time on the cooling sieve? What is the temperature range we can adjust?
I see another question which refers to the same. After 6 minutes of the cooling sieve, will the coffee be at room temperature? So it's kind of the same question. I'm not sure what will be the longest cooling time, but you can of course make it shorter. That's no problem. After 6 minutes, it's definitely at room temperature. So it's cold enough to be transported away by the transport system.
Okay.
The longer the cooling time is, of course, the better it is for the coffee, because it's cooled down and can't continue roasting and losing aromas while still warm in the silos or in the transport system.
Okay. Okay.
A lot of comments, so it's quite difficult. Yeah, another one. What is the difference between a filter coffee profile and an espresso profile? Yeah, so when you look at it from traditional side, there is a difference between a classical filter coffee profile and an espresso profile. There's only usually you say the longer you roast and the darker you roast, this would be typically an espresso profile, and shorter profiles with lighter roast colors are traditionally used for filter coffee. So this is a traditional definition. Today, it has changed a lot, so you can also use filter coffee profiles for espresso or the other way around.
Okay. Okay, you sent a lot of questions. We try to get back to these following our Q&A session now. Thank you for joining.
Yes, so we will answer all the questions we received up to now, and of course all questions, if you still have questions, send them to connect@probat.com. We will try to answer all of them. We hope that you enjoyed today's session as much as we did, and that's it from my side.
Yeah, so if you would like, please continue sending questions or comments to our email address, connect@probat.com. You're also able to book still one-to-one online meetings with our experts. And also stay tuned for the next 2 days to see further sessions from our Connecting Markets Digital 2021. And see you soon, either in Emmerich or at a trade show somewhere in the world. Thank you.
Yes, and I have to add something. You can of course also still book one-to-one appointments with our experts of the sessions over our Connecting Markets homepage, connectingmarkets.de. Yeah, also from my side, thank you for joining us today. Take care and stay safe.